Chapter 7. The Personal Guidance by the Guru. In this, there is the telling of fruits of Jetsun Milarepa's meditation and study, and of Marpa's last journey to India, and Milarepa's prophetic dream and its interpretation by Marpa, and finally, Marpa's special charge to each of his 4 chief disciples. Richung then asked, "Master, didst thou set off at once to the wild solitudes after receiving the truths, or didst thou continue to live with thy Guru?" And Jetsun Milarepa made reply, "My Guru commanded that I should continue there, saying that he would supply me with food and other necessities, which he did most liberally. And I retired to meditate in a rock cave called Lobrak Taknya, with an ample supply of provisions. There I used to sit in a rigid posture with a lighted lamp on my head, without moving till the light went out, were it night or day. 11 months went by. Then my Guru and his lady came to see me, bringing food for the purpose of holding a religious feast. The Guru said, 'My son, it is very credible that thou shouldst be able to meditate for 11 months, for without the meditation cushion losing warmth. Now thou mayest pull down the wall enclosing thee, and come to thine old father for a little rest, as well as to recount to me what thou hast experienced.' I did not much care about relaxing my meditation, but seeing that my Guru had thus commanded, I was bound to go. I proceeded to demolish the wall, though it seemed to be a pity to have to do so, and was delaying a little. Thereupon the Guru's lady came up and asked me, 'Son, art thou coming?' "'I feel reluctant to pull down the wall,' I answered, and she replied, 'Oh, never mind that. Thou knowest that the profound mystic omens are very important. Besides, the Lama's temper is quite short, and should there occur any bad omens through this delay, it will never do. So I will help thee to pull down the wall and to come out quickly.' With that she pulled it down, and I went out feeling altogether lost. My Guru said, 'While we two, father and son, shall be occupied in some rituals connected with this meditation, do thou, Damima, prepare food for us.' Then, while we were eating the meal, he asked, 'My son, what beliefs or convictions hast thou arrived at regarding these truths? What experiences, what insight, and what understanding hast thou obtained? Take thy time and recount them to me,' he added. Upon this, with deep and sincere humility, I knelt, and joining the palms of my hands, with tears in mine eyes, extemporaneously sang to my Guru a hymn of praise, offering him the 7-fold worship as a prelude to submitting the narrative of mine experiences and convictions. I sang, 'The impure eyes of them thou seekest to liberate. Thou manifestest thyself in a variety of shapes, but to those of thy followers who have been purified, thou, Lord, appearest as a perfected being. Obeisance to thee. With thy Brahma-like voice, endowed with the 60 vocal perfections, thou preachest the holy truths to each in his own speech, complete in their 84,000 subjects. Obeisance to thy word, audible yet inseparable from the voidness. In the heavenly radiance of Dharmakaya mind, there existeth not shadow of thing or concept, yet it pervadeth all objects of knowledge, obeisance to the immutable eternal mind. In the holy palace of the pure and spiritual realms, thou person illusory, yet changeless and selfless, thou mother divine of Buddhas, past, present, and future, O great Mother Demima, to thy feet I bow down. O Guru, to thy children spiritual, to thy disciples who thy would obey, to each with all his followers, obeisance humble and sincere I make. Whatever there be in all the systems of the many worlds, to serve as offerings for the rites of divine, I offer unto thee, along with mine own fleshly form. Of all my sins may I be freed and purified. In merits earned by others I rejoice. So set the wheel of truth in motion fully, I pray, until the whirling pool of being emptied be. Do not, O noble Guru, from the world depart. I dedicate all merit from this hymn unto the cause of universal good. Having as a prelude sung this hymn of 7 stanzas, I then continued. Inseparable from Dorje Chang himself art thou, my Guru, with thy consort and thine offspring, in virtue of thy fair and meritorious deeds, and of the power of the waves of grace proceeding from thy boundless generosity, and of thy kindness beyond repayment. I, thy vassal, have imbibed a little knowledge in the sphere of understanding, which I now beg to lay before thee. Out of the unchanging state of quiescence of eternal truth, be pleased to listen unto me for a little while. I have understood this body of mine to be the product of ignorance, as set forth in the 12 Nidanas, composed of flesh and blood, lit up by the perceptive power of consciousness. To those fortunate ones who long for emancipation, it may be the great vessel by means of which they may procure freedom and endowments. But to those unfortunate ones who only sin, it may be the guide to the lower and miserable states of existence. This, our life, is the boundary mark whence one may take an upward or downward path. Our present time is a most precious time, wherein each of us must decide, in one way or the other, for lasting good or lasting ill. I have understood this to be the chief end of our present term of life. Here again, by holding on to thee, O powerful Lord and Savior of sentient beings like myself, I hope to cross over this ocean of worldly existence, the source of all pains and griefs, so difficult to escape from. But to be able to do so, it is first of all necessary for me to take refuge in the precious Trinity, and to observe and adopt in a sincere spirit the rules prescribed. In this too I see the Guru to be the main source and embodiment of all good and happiness that can accrue to me. Therefore do I realize the supreme necessity of obeying the Guru's commands and behests, and keeping my faith in him unsullied and staunch. After such realization, then deep meditation on the difficulty of obtaining the precious boon of a free and well-endowed human birth, on the uncertainty of the exact moment of death, on the certain effect of one's actions, and on the miseries of samsaric being, cannot fail to compel one to desire freedom and emancipation from all samsaric existence. And to obtain this, one must cleave to the staff of the Noble Eightfold Path, by which only may a sentient being obtain that emancipation. Then, from the level of this path, one must pass on by degrees to the higher paths, all the while observing one's vows as carefully as if they were one's own eyes, rebuilding or mending them should they become in the least impaired. I have understood that one who aimeth at his individual peace and happiness adopteth the lower path, Hinayana, but he who from the very start devoteth the merit of his love and compassion to the cause of others, I understand belongeth to the higher path of Mahayana. To leave the lower path and to enter upon the higher path, it is necessary to gain a clear view of the goal of one's aspirations, as set forth by the unexcelled immutable path of Vajrayana. Again, to gain a clear view of the final goal, it is essential to have a perfectly well accomplished guru who knoweth every branch of the 4 kinds of initiatory rites without the slightest misunderstanding or doubt regarding them. For he alone can make the final goal thoroughly explicit to the disciple. The ceremony of initiation conferreth the power of mastering abstruse and deep thoughts regarding the final goal. In meditating on the final goal, step by step, one has to put forth all one's energies, both of grammatical and logical acumen, as well as through moral and mental reasoning and internal search, to discover the non-existence of the personal ego, and therefore the fallacy of the popular idea that this ego exists. In realizing the non-existence of the personal ego, the mind must be kept in quiescence. On being enabled by various methods to put the mind in that state as a result of a variety of causes, all thoughts, ideas, and cognitions cease, and the mind passeth from consciousness of objects into a state of perfect tranquility, so that days, months, and years may pass without the person himself perceiving it. Thus, the passing of time hath to be marked for him by others. This state is called shine, or tranquil rest. By not submitting oneself to the state of total oblivion and unconsciousness of objects, but by exerting one's intellect or faculty of consciousness in this state, one gaineth the clear ecstatic state of quiescent consciousness. Although there may be this state which we may call a state of superconsciousness or logtong, nevertheless individuals or ego entities, so long as they are such, are incapable of experiencing it. I believe that it is only experienced when one hath gained the first superhuman state on the path to Buddhahood. Thus, by thought process and visualization, one treadeth the path. The visions of the forms of the deities upon which one meditateth are merely the signs attending perseverance in meditation. They have no intrinsic worth or value in themselves. To sum up, a vivid state of mental quiescence, accompanied by energy and a keen power of analysis, by a clear and inquisitive intellect, are indispensable requirements. Like the lowest rungs of a ladder, they are absolutely necessary to enable one to ascend. But in the process of meditating on this state of mental quiescence, or shine, by mental concentration, either on forms and shapes or on shapeless and formless things, the very first effort must be made in a compassionate mood, with the aim of dedicating the merit of one's efforts to the universal good. Secondly, the goal of one's aspirations must be well defined and clear, soaring into the regions of transcending thought. Finally, there is need of mentally praying and wishing for blessings on others so earnestly that one's mind processes also transcend thought. These I understand to be the highest of all paths. Then again, as the mere name of food doth not satisfy the appetite of a hungry person, but he must eat food, so also a man who would learn about the voidness of thought must meditate so as to realize it, and not merely learn its definition. Moreover, to obtain the knowledge of the state of superconsciousness of Latang, one must practice and accustom oneself to the mechanical attainment of the recurrence of the above practices without intermission. In short, habituation to the contemplation of voidness, of equilibrium, of the indescribable, and of the incognizable forms the 4 different stages of the 4 degrees of initiation, graduated steps to the ultimate goal of the mystic Vajrayana, or immutable path. To understand these thoroughly, one must sacrifice bodily ease and all luxuriousness, and with this in mind, face and surmount every obstacle, being ever willing to sacrifice life itself and prepared for every possible contingency. As for myself, I have not the means to recompense thee, my Guru and Reverend Mother, my benefactors. Your loving kindness is beyond my power to repay by any offer of worldly wealth or riches. So I will repay you by a lifelong devotion to meditation, and I will complete my final study of your teachings in the Ogmin heaven. To my Guru, the great Dorje Chang, to Damina, the mother of all Buddhas, and to all princes royal, the avatars, I make as offering to their ears this essence of my learning which I have gleaned. If there be heresy or error in my speech, I pray that they will kindly pardon it, and set me then upon the righteous path. Lord, from the sun orb of thy grace, the radiant rays of light have shone, and opened wide the petals of the lotus of my heart, so that it breatheth forth the fragrance born of knowledge, for which I am forever bounden unto thee. So will I worship thee by constant meditation. Vouchsafe to bless me in mine efforts, that good may come to every sentient being. Lastly, I ask forgiveness too for any lavishness of words. My Guru was delighted and said, "My son, I had expected much from thee. My expectations have been fulfilled." And the lady said, "I knew that my son had the will and intellect to succeed." Both were highly gratified, and we conversed on religious topics for a long time. Then my Guru and his lady took leave of me, and I resumed my meditations in the close retreat.